Calloused fingers trembled, the rough skin a testament to years of hard work and dedication. Each line and scar told a story of perseverance and struggle, a life spent building dreams for others while his own remained just out of reach. Eyes darted across the numbers again and again, as if trying to make sense of the impossible. The numbers seemed to blur together, a surreal dance of fate and fortune. Could this really be happening? Was this the moment he had been waiting for all his life? A lottery ticket, clutched tight, held the answer to a lifetime of dreams. It was more than just a piece of paper. It was a symbol of hope, a beacon of possibility. In that small, fragile slip lay the power to transform his world, to turn dreams into reality. For Michael, a bricklayer with rough hands and a weary heart, this was it. A golden ticket to a life beyond backbreaking labor and endless bills. He had spent years toiling under the sun, his body bearing the brunt of his labor. But now, he had won. He was a millionaire. The weight of his struggles seemed to lift, replaced by a lightness he had never known.
I can't believe it. I'm a millionaire. This is a dream come true. All those years of hard work, all the sacrifices, it's finally paid off.
Michael's voice was filled with disbelief, a mix of joy and astonishment. He had always hoped for a better life, but never truly believed it could happen. Now the impossible had become his reality, the weight of his new reality slowly sinking in. He sat in contemplation, thinking about the future. What would he do with this newfound wealth? How would it change him? The possibilities were endless, and for the first time in his life he felt truly free. The golden ticket had not just given him money, it had given him hope, a chance to rewrite his story. Joy warred with fear. Michael's heart pounded in his chest, a cacophony of emotions swirling within him. He had never felt so conflicted, so torn between two powerful forces. The joy of his newfound secret was intoxicating, yet the fear of its potential consequences was paralyzing. Telling his wife, Sarah, seemed natural, instinctive. They had shared everything for years, their lives intertwined in a dance of love and partnership. But this secret was different. It held a weight that could shatter the fragile balance they had maintained. Yet a seed of doubt, a tiny, insidious thought, began to sprout in his mind. What if she didn't understand? What if she couldn't handle the truth? This doubt was planted by years of hardship, and simmering resentment took root. Their marriage, once vibrant, had become strained, burdened by unspoken frustrations. Could he trust her? The question gnawed at him, a relentless whisper in the back of his mind. He remembered the arguments, the nights spent in silence, the distance that had grown between them. The question gnawed at him. He felt a pang of guilt, knowing that his hesitation was a betrayal of the trust they had built. But the fear of losing her, of pushing her away with the truth, was too great to ignore.
Can I really trust her with this? He asked himself, his mind racing with possibilities. What if she reacted badly? What if this secret was the final straw that broke their already fragile relationship?
He decided to keep it a secret, for now. It was a temporary solution, a way to buy himself some time to figure out the best course of action. He would protect her from the truth, at least until he was sure of how to handle it.
Michael, are you okay? You seem different. Sarah's voice was filled with concern, her eyes searching his for answers. She could sense that something was off, that he was hiding something from her.
Sarah's concern was genuine, her love for him evident in every word. She had always been his rock, his confidant, the one person he could rely on. But now he felt a chasm growing between them, a distance that he didn't know how to bridge. But Michael brushed it off, not wanting to burden her with his inner turmoil. He forced a smile, hoping to reassure her, but it felt hollow. A mask that barely concealed his true feelings, a forced smile on his face. He hated lying to her, but he convinced himself it was for the best. He needed more time to sort through his thoughts, to find a way to share his secret without causing her pain.
I'm fine, he said, his voice steady despite the turmoil inside. Just a lot on my mind. He hoped she would believe him, that she wouldn't press further. Just a lot on my mind. The weight of his secret was almost unbearable, a constant pressure that threatened to crush him. He longed to share it with her, to unburden himself, but the fear of her reaction held him back.
The lie tasted bitter, a sharp reminder of the distance growing between them. He hated deceiving her, but he saw no other way. He needed to protect her, to shield her from the truth until he was ready to face it himself. But he convinced himself it was for the best. He would find a way to tell her eventually. For now, he would carry the burden alone, hoping that his love for her would be enough to see them through. An idea, dangerous yet tempting, began to form. He would convince Sarah to split their hypothetical winnings from a fictional lottery pool at work. It was a gamble, a test of her loyalty. He would write up a simple agreement, a contract to make it seem real. His heart pounded with a mixture of guilt and anticipation.
This could work. It has to work.
Michael's devious smirk betrayed the turmoil inside him. "It's just for fun, honey," he'd said, sliding the paper across the table. The room was dimly lit, the soft glow of the lamp casting long shadows on the walls. The paper, innocuous at first glance, held a weight that neither of them fully understood. Michael's hand trembled slightly as he pushed it towards her, a smile plastered on his face to mask his unease. Sarah, ever practical, had hesitated, skepticism etched on her face. She glanced at the paper, then back at Michael, her mind racing with questions. What was he really up to? Why now? The doubt gnawed at her, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what was wrong. Her instinct screamed caution, but the look in Michael's eyes, a mix of hope and desperation, made her pause.
What if we actually win, Michael? It's tempting fate. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper, but the concern was evident. She had always been the cautious one, the voice of reason in their relationship. The idea of signing something so frivolous, so potentially life-altering, went against everything she believed in.
He'd laughed it off, masking his nervousness. The sound was hollow, lacking the genuine warmth she was used to. Michael was always the optimist, the dreamer. But this time, there was something different. A shadow of doubt lingered in his eyes, betraying his true feelings. He tried to brush it off, to make light of the situation, but the tension in the room was palpable.
Come on, Sarah. It's just a silly agreement. Nothing serious. His words were meant to reassure, but they fell flat. The more he tried to convince her, the more she felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She wanted to believe him, to trust that this was just another one of his harmless whims, but something in her gut told her otherwise.
In the end, she signed. A sense of victory, hollow and cold, settled over him. The pen felt heavy in her hand, each stroke of her signature a reminder of the uncertainty that lay ahead. Michael watched her, a mix of relief and anxiety playing across his features. He had won, but at what cost? The agreement was sealed, but the unease lingered.
Thanks, honey. This will be fun, you'll see. He tried to sound upbeat, to inject some enthusiasm into his voice, but the words felt forced. He handed her the paper with a smile, but his eyes betrayed him. They were filled with a mix of hope and fear, a silent plea for her to believe in him, to trust that everything would be okay.
Michael's words were light, but the weight of his deception pressed heavily on his heart. He knew he was asking a lot, that this agreement was more than just a piece of paper. It was a gamble, a risk that could change everything. As he watched Sarah, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was leading them down a path from which there might be no return. The future was uncertain, and the stakes had never been higher. The day arrived. Michael watched Sarah across their worn kitchen table, a single flickering candle casting long shadows.
I booked us a reservation, at that fancy restaurant we could never usually afford.
Oh, Michael, this is too much. We don't need to go overboard.
She'd protested, uncomfortable with the extravagance. He'd insisted, his gut churning with a guilt he couldn't drown out.
I insist, Sarah. We deserve this. Really, we do.
As he raised his glass, ready to finally reveal his secret, Sarah reached into her purse.
There's something I need to tell you,
she said, her voice trembling. She placed a faded photograph on the table. A man, his features blurred with time, stared back at Michael. He looked familiar, unsettlingly so. I found this cleaning the attic, Sarah continued, her voice barely a whisper.
I found this cleaning the attic.
A letter tucked inside the folds of the photograph slipped out. It was addressed to her, the handwriting elegant and unfamiliar. Michael's blood ran cold. This wasn't the revelation he had expected. This was something far more significant, more life-altering.
It's addressed to me, but I don't recognize the handwriting.
This was something far more significant, more life-altering. The letter told a story of a life Sarah had never spoken of, a life before they met, before their struggles, before the weight of their unspoken resentments.
The man in the photograph was my first love, a man I thought I'd lost forever. He had been a writer, a dreamer, just like Michael once was.
The letter ended with a plea, a desperate hope that Sarah would meet him, years in the future at this very restaurant, on this very night. He had come into a fortune, the letter explained, and wanted to spend his life with her.
Sarah sat there, tears streaming down her face, looking at Michael with a mix of fear and hope.
I can't believe this. All this time, you never told me.
In that instant, all of Michael's carefully constructed plans, his deception and his doubts crumbled away. He understood.
I see it now. The years of silent longing in your eyes. The echoes of dreams we both let fade.
He didn't speak, only took her hand and gently squeezed it, a silent promise of forgiveness and understanding. They left the restaurant together, hand in hand, the unspoken truth hanging heavy in the air. The lottery ticket, once a symbol of Michael's hope and deceit, felt like a relic from a different life.
We walked into the night, not towards a life of luxury and lies, but towards a new beginning.
One built on honesty, forgiveness, and the bittersweet realization that sometimes life's greatest prizes are the ones we never knew we had lost.
Pause 3S. As they approached their modest home, Michael's wife, Sarah, stopped and turned towards him, her eyes reflecting a mix of love and something he couldn't quite place. I have a confession to make, she began, her voice steady but soft. I knew about the lottery win all along. Michael's heart skipped a beat. What do you mean you knew? Sarah took a deep breath. I found the ticket weeks ago. At first I was hurt that you kept it from me. But then I realized why you did it. You were scared of how it would change us. So I made my own plan. Michael stared at her, stunned. Your own plan? She nodded. I wanted us to confront our secrets together, to see if our love could withstand the truth. I didn't want the money to tear us apart or change who we are. He felt a surge of emotions, relief, guilt, love. So what now? Sarah smiled, a tear slipping down her cheek. Now, we face everything together. No more secrets, just us, building a life we can be proud of. They embraced, the weight of their secrets lifting, replaced by a newfound strength and unity. In that moment, they realized their relationship was the greatest prize of all. Pause 2S. The unexpected twist in their journey wasn't the lottery win, but the revelation that true wealth lies in trust, love, and the courage to face the unknown together. Pause 3S. And so they walked into their home hand in hand, ready to embrace whatever the future held, knowing that together they could overcome anything. Pause 2S. Michael's newfound wealth brought with it a cascade of unexpected challenges. As a bricklayer who had always valued hard work and integrity, he now faced moral dilemmas that tested his very core. Pause 2S. The money, once a symbol of hope and opportunity, began to cast a shadow over his relationships. Friends and family, sensing a change but unaware of the true source, started to treat him differently. Some grew distant while others became suspiciously close. Pause 2S. Michael found himself at a moral crossroads. Pause 2S. Should he reveal the secret of his wealth, risking the authenticity of his relationships? Or should he continue to navigate this web of deception at the cost of his own peace of mind? Pause 2S. As he wrestled with these questions, Michael discovered more about himself and those around him. He saw the greed and envy that money could provoke, but also the kindness and loyalty that true friendship and love could withstand. Pause 2S. In his struggle to keep his secret, Michael realized that true happiness wasn't tied to wealth, but to the honesty and integrity with which one lives their life. Pause 2S. The moral crossroads he faced wasn't just about the money, but about the kind of man he wanted to be. Pause 2S. Would he allow his deception to lead to his downfall, or would he find the courage to embrace the truth no matter the cost? Pause 2S. With a deep breath, Michael made his choice. Pause 2S. He knew that the path to true happiness lay not in the riches he possessed, but in the authenticity of his actions and the strength of his character. Pause 2S. And so he prepared to face the consequences of his decisions, ready to rebuild his life on a foundation of honesty, trust, and love.